Greetings, parish orphans and retrogrades. Today we have the unfortunate task of calling out this sad Iryna Zarutska situation, the way that it's being commentated on in the right-wing media. The only media that will cover it, I know. The mainstream media is not going to cover it because a black dude did what urban black dudes do with like 14 prior arrests, killed a white woman late at night, 10 p.m., riding public transit. So it falls to us by way of the Roman catechism, which just describes nature when it comes to describing what men and women should be doing, to say what no other conservative will do. Can I just open by stating it's a very sad situation. I'm very sorry for this 22, 23-year-old immigrant. It's very bad, but right-wingers are parrots. Or maybe they're retarded. Maybe they're just parrots. There's a lot of overlap. They don't have a clue. I don't need to hear one more time that this guy's an urban black and urban blacks are dangerous and violent. No shiz. We know that. I don't need to hear one more time that the mainstream media hasn't covered it. I mean, yeah, no shit. We know. I don't need to hear one more time how this guy should be publicly executed. Oh, based, bro. Conservatives have no solutions. That's all this tells me. Right-wingers are pathetic. And the funny thing is, on Twitter, it's cutting edge people are saying the same stuff, and like Conservative Inc. are saying the same stuff. It proves to you that no one else out there has a single clue how to deal with the problems that afflict us. It's kind of like what I say about the red pill. They can diagnose plenty accurately what the problem is. But when it comes to a relatively simple solution, the red pill has no answer. They don't have Christian patriarchy. Well, it's the same answer to this urban violence, black crime problem. It's the patriarchy. It's what the catechism tells us about the difference between men and women and the behavioral outcomes, the differences that ought to govern our behaviors. So everyone's saying that this guy should be, and Steph's going to be giving commentary today too. Everyone's saying this guy should be publicly executed. Of course, I would love it. I'd get popcorn. He won't be though. And that's like cutting edge based conservatives and very, very, very boring right-wing Con Inc. people. Everyone's saying we have a problem with urban blacks. Oh my gosh, really? Is water wet too? Because I need a full news report with commentary on the fact that water's wet or the wind sometimes stirs in the west. I need that. I need to have it. And I need your cutting edge commentary. Bro, it blows out of the blue and it shakes the leaves. Based. Yeah, I know. Urban blacks are violent. That's a fact. And I know for the love of Pete that the mainstream media won't cover a story such as this.
This happened on August 22nd. Like we were just hearing about this, right?
Yeah, you just told me that now.
I just double checked this date. This woman, this beautiful 23-year-old white was killed on August 22nd. And now we're hearing about this. Her family just, I'll put this up, started a GoFundMe page. Incidentally, DeCarlos Brown, the murderer, somebody started a GoFundMe for him and they took it down. So that's kind of the background of what's going on right now.
I'm surprised GoFundMe allowed it to be taken down. Maybe it was a private effort it was taken down. But I mean, other urban blacks will applaud this sort of thing. I know. So I guess we can spend some time today substantiating the three really obvious points that every retard with a mic or a keyboard is out there saying. Urban blacks are super violent and endorse this kind of stuff largely. I mean, not all, and I don't mean all blacks. I mean, urban blacks. That the mainstream media supports them because it's bio-Leninism. They're crazy and on drugs and hateful and racist. And this is not news. And the mainstream media plays them against whites because the mainstream media hates whites, because the mainstream media is run by not whites. And thirdly, that, what was the third point? Oh, that this guy should be publicly executed. Yeah, cool point, bro. That's so cool to say. They ought to bring a guillotine and chop his face off.
We need to start employing like the Tudor England, traitor's death, where they get like drawn and hanged and quartered, and then they get eviscerated and their entrails are burned in front of them while they're still alive. Like
Agreed.
that's
but
what
you see how everyone's saying this. Like that's not. Why would you come to me? Because I'm not a parrot. I'm a lot of things. I'm not why would anyone come to Rules for Retrogrades for that? You can go on Twitter and watch every right-wing account from normies like Cat Turd and Benny Johnson, all the way to, anyone else who's considered more based, Groyper accounts or Ortho Bros or whatever, just the more typically based opinions saying the exact same shit. It's unbelievable how few solutions conservatives have. And this one's so simple. Here it is. Keep your women home. It's that simple. It's that simple. Homeschool them when they're young. Also homeschool your sons. But then don't send them to dangerous urban centers like Charlotte, North Carolina, or any place where there are big populous universities. Don't send them any place to go out alone as if they know what the hell they're doing when they're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. They don't know what they're doing.
Well,
you would never in your right mind, if you're a man who knows how to fight, who knows how to spot a threat, who knows that anything, even if it's not a spottable threat, could become a threat, would sit in front of, what's his name? Juan Carlos.
His last name is Brown.
Washington.
What's his name?
You wouldn't sit in front. I'm not blaming the victim. Women just don't have a clue.
Can I say
it's sad? I'm sad for her. It's not blaming her. I'm blaming her family. Why would she be over here going on public transit? You go on public transit if you want to die. So at heart in this, I'll let you are, in case you haven't heard the story, because it only broke semi-recently, like this weekend, and it's 2 weeks old. But we'll spit all the facts at you. Steph has them, and then the sort of basic 3 conservative talking points. Mainstream media won't talk about it. The blacks are violent, and this guy should be executed. Okay, great, cool.
Women can't defend themselves. Number 4, women cannot defend themselves.
Well, I don't
against
think blacks
a man.
are even saying that. I mean,
I'm just saying in general.
No.
What
But we're tabulating the normie talking points. And that's all you're going to hear elsewhere. It's incredible. I'm not like racking my brain to have an interesting point. Yeah, and because women can't defend themselves, they need to be largely at home. And here's the thing. If just to prove I'm not trying to be cutting edge or based, if you still want your girls to get a college education, send them to a commuter school. Have them live at home for college. That's if you're really kind of normie and you still think women need a college education. I get it if you're trying to get her the MRS degree. That's one thing. But a college education, because she needs a second job. Even then, I don't really want to talk to you. But if you still think that, because I do care about your daughters and I care about the obvious solution to this problem being promulgated, send them to a commuter school, man. But conservatives are such petrified, warbling, wobbling cucks without the male apparatus that they're afraid to do anything real about the problem. To speak it publicly, we just need to stop sending women into public, particularly urban public, but even suburban public is dangerous for them. But at least speak it privately to your own daughters, man. This solution is simple. And the Roman Catechism says it's the duties of women, the duties of wives specifically, but the Roman Catechism had never conceived of folks, grown women, just being single for life. Can we put that up on the screen?
Let me find that.
We'll get out all the facts here, because this was sat on by the mainstream media, which shouldn't surprise you unless you're mentally retarded. It surprises you the mainstream media sits on. I didn't know it was 2 weeks until just now that they sat on it. And they're still not saying anything. But it shouldn't surprise you that urban blacks do senseless things, triple stab for no reason on a night train. I mean, I'm not even trying to use racist terminology. It's a night train. This is what happens. This girl sits down, plunks herself down right in front of Juan Carlos Washington, or whatever his name is. and she just thinks she's safe. I'm sorry, she's new to America.
Sad that we have a challenge in chat too. We'll get to, but it's really sad too because obviously this is it's just a stunning young woman, and she knew enough to be traveling on a public transport that she employed some of these like feminine tactics of protection. Like she's wearing a baseball cap, she's wearing baggy clothing, she's kind of demure, she's kind of sitting in a position not to draw too much attention to herself. So she clearly already understood that this is not a place where she should be, because she's clearly using very small measures to kind of not draw attention to herself as a very lovely young woman. And it's not enough. And this is really where the men in her life failed her. But she's obviously taking a class. This happened at 10 o'clock at night. She's on a Charlotte, North Carolina train. That would never happen in our household. Our daughters would never,
what are you thinking?
Ever be on a public train without you, especially at that time at night. And they would know not to sit in front of an urban black, like with your back unexposed. Like that is not happening. I was even saying this to somebody, I forget how long ago, and they got kind of mad at me. And I'm like, even when I'm in public and let's say we're going on errands together and I stay in the car and you go out to the store and I'm just in there by myself or with the children, I normally just lock the door. But if any black comes near me, I'm locking the door. Like I'm making sure the door is locked, and that's not my fault. Well, but that is their
conservatives
fault
have changed. A lot's changed in the last 5 years. No one's going to push back on that. Everyone's saying that. Okay. Everyone knows, even at a kind of suburban Target, this will be a mixture of, because of the way American cities, metropolises are laid out, there will be nice suburban blacks mixed in with urban blacks. Kids, we go halfway into town to get to our Target in Hattiesburg. Very, very heterogeneous mix. So, but you can't tell the difference, right? No. So it's like a 50-50. So of course, so we don't need to talk about that.
But the numbers are so high, though. The numbers are so high that I don't care if this is a good one or a bad one. I'm just assuming they're all bad, of course, because of the numbers. And that's not my fault. The
point that everyone's getting their head around now. Okay, a lot's changed in 5 years. People all say true things about urban blacks now. You know, it's like half the population of American blacks are just dangerous. Okay, that used to be cutting edge. I got fired over taking on BLM. No, that's completely anodyne to say now. Also, it used to be anodyne to say what I said in the case for patriarchy. Matt Fradd was saying this the other day. Wow, Tim Gordon was saying cutting edge stuff before anyone was saying it. In 2019, 2020, 2021, when I was writing and then releasing this book, it was cutting edge. Now everyone's like, yeah, the patriarchy is good. Women are totally different from men. Men are in charge. But now I'm telling you something that has as a practical effect of, even though you've understood the conclusions, you still buy the premises of the feminist lie. So you're still sending your daughters into public zones like they're men. What is your problem? Women are not men. People are like, oh, I got it. I saw Matt Walsh's What is a Woman? So, okay, I didn't know that before 2021 or whatever, and that movie came out. So now I got it. What is a woman is not a man. Okay, cool. I learned that. I'm 50 years old. I'm 60 years old, and I learned that. So I'm good on that. Okay, cool, boomer. Cool, normie. NPCs out there. Because men can't be women and women can't be men, we're totally different. Men are from Mars or whatever, women are from Venus. Women are very small and weak. The last 2 years, the normie, NPC, brainwashed boomer, Gen X, every male out there, every dude around me in the suburb, it was like, whoa, wait a minute. So women have smaller brains, smaller amygdalas, can't defend themselves, smaller muscles, smaller skeletal systems. Their bones are like 2.5 times more brittle.
Worse reflexes?
Significantly slower reflexes. So they really actually are not only not men, but they're very, very different from men. And there should be some sort of behavioral reflection in cultural outcomes. Our cultural iconography and our cultural infrastructure should reflect this. Wait, what? So we shouldn't send them into our unprecedentedly dangerous Black American cities like Corinth?
There's a challenge to that in chat, and Colin says, what are single women supposed to do, dude? I don't want my taxes to pay for them. Single women need to support themselves.
Dude, here's the answer, dude. What they're supposed to do is live at their fucking father's house until they get married. Got it? That's called patriarchy. stay the fuck home. It's only what the Catholic Church and all society, Protestant society, Muslim society, all of the weird Eastern societies taught until about 50 to 80 years ago. Stay home. Women are not men. You don't need to be running errands during the day. You know, you don't need to be pretending you're a man. You don't need jobs. Stay at your father's home. This dude literally is getting uppity because he doesn't know how Western civilization was built. You are a dupe. All right, you're an NPC. Women have for all eternity up until really 60 to 100 years ago. I said 50 days. So 60 to 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Just been at home. And then in World War II, the commies and the J-ish powers that be conned them out of the home. And now moron, conservative fathers are like, yeah, well, my daughter would get mad at me if I said this really obvious thing just because it's way out of season. I don't want to be controlling. If your daughter is a genius, okay, and she's probably not, but if your daughter's a genius and she needs, the world's going to be deprived of a breakthrough, first ever great female novelist, philosopher, chess player, engineer, double E major, geologist, geophysicist. If there's going to be a first ever breakthrough great female at these things, there's not, then try sending her to a commuter school just to prove to you I'm not even trying to be cutting edge. I'm just trying to save your daughters from their cucked fathers. Their cucked fathers won't keep them home. And
this is the problem, right? So like what you were saying about the conservative media, they want to talk about the problem with the blacks, which are obvious. Like there's not one white woman out there in public doesn't feel like how I feel. Like if I'm around like a strange black, I'm immediately on a guard. I just am, obviously, because the numbers. Duh. This is this like an ape could understand that logic. We have a problem with our white men that are just allowing their women to do whatever the hell they want to. Like this woman's father or uncle, because I'm looking at the GoFundMe and there's an uncle involved who's obviously devastated men in her family. You're to blame. You let this woman go on a train in Charlotte at 10 o'clock at night. And some people in there are from Charlotte and they're saying, oh, this is a very safe transit.
No, it's not true. It's not safe. What kind of moron says this stuff? Yeah, so this woman just got stabbed for three times for no reason, and you had an animal that looked like this, riding
picture on him,
riding freely, right? And that was safe. All it is I'm challenging your cucked worldview. It would be, what's the most accurate way to say this? There is a problem with black men in America. They're violent. They do crimes, right? I don't mind the urban-suburban distinction because it's not politically correct. It's like a 50-50 split. Urban black men just come out of the womb doing crimes.
There's stats on the screen right now to support that.
They come out of the womb in a pair of stolen Jordans, okay? They come out of the womb in a pair of stolen J's. That's a fact. There is a problem with black men in America. What I'm talking about, I don't have many black men listeners in my audience. The ones that do listen are cool and I'd be friends with. So I don't have a problem with them. I have a problem with white men in America and the fact that based conservative media won't say this, that the main problem with white men in America is they won't tell their women to shut the fuck up, stay the fuck home. You're being killed. You're being killed. When even in the suburbs where women schlep their families around, they create ex nihilo errands to run by day because they were raised in this puppy mill of busyness and busybodiness that everyone was in the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s. So they feel weird being at home, which is perverse for a woman to feel weird being at home. I'll read you the catechism in a second.
Yeah, it's a disorder.
You have a disorder.
If you're a woman who doesn't like being at home, you have a disorder.
You have a disorder, so you need to go to Target 4 times per day. And women, because of their slow responses, they literally respond like 1.75 times slower in driving situations. They're at risk, and they get even carjacked, or they can get petty crime, or they can get significant crime in mixed suburban urban centers if you go half the way to the city, or they get in a car accident, or they get lost because they're women, or whatever.
We think that we're protected when we're not
out. Yeah.
Like women are always, let me tell you, like the poor thinking of women. This is, again, not to disparage this beautiful woman, but clearly she thought wearing a baseball cap and loose clothing would kind of like make her obscure. No, like you could still tell she's a beautiful woman. Women carrying mace in their purses, like your stupid feminine measures to protect yourself are not going to cut it. If a guy wants to take you out, he will take you out in seconds. And there is literally nothing you can do. And apparently even people on this train, I'm reading reports that there were people who tried to help her, but I mean, it takes milliseconds to stab somebody in the neck and for that person to bleed out. And there is literally nothing anybody could have done, even if like Chuck Norris is sitting next to her, trying to protect her. There is nothing anybody can do about it. There is nothing your women can do to protect themselves from a urban black who wants to take them out. If they get picked out in the crowd like this, clearly this woman was, it's done. She's done. It's over. Why are you risking this? Why? I
would defy anyone, any normier leaning men in the audience that send your daughters to other cities to be educated, or even now European capitals used to be safer. We have these American blacks that run the inside of our cities, and it's just, you can't walk around. And your daughters are going around cities like Baltimore, Charlotte, Washington, D.C. She goes to Catholic University of America. Take your pick. And you send them there. But you used to be able to send them to European capitals and they were safe. But now it's Muslims that go around raping women. What is your problem? Women are not men. So I had to be the first one to tell you, women are not the boss of men. Men are the boss of women. It took me to tell you guys that. And at first everyone was mad at me 6 years ago when I said that. And they're like, I guess he was right. It's just really complex to see. And now I have to be the one to tell you, because men are the leaders and because the state of nature requires leaders to protect the followers, women need to be, by and large, home. Can you get up the catechism on the screen? Why do you think the Roman Catholic Church taught adult women, one of their 3-4 main duties as an adult woman is to not go out? This is like the one teaching. It's like the one teaching. Can you read that?
Yeah, let me get that on the take care of your kids. Take care of your kids, honor your husband above all else. Here's number 3. It's like 3 things it tells adult women, and it's surrogating adult woman for wife. And remember, when we pointed this out to people years ago, Catholics, they were like, what? This doesn't make any sense. Why would this ever be? This is why. This story is why. And it says, the wife should love to remain at home unless compelled by necessity to go out, and she should never presume to leave home without her husband's consent. Do we get it now? Do we get it? Do we get why that is? People were giving us all sorts of snarky remarks. Oh, really? My wife has to ask permission to go to like Target? Like, yes.
Yeah, and the answer should usually be
why.
No. Stay home. I'll pick up like the 2 items that you were using as token reasons to get out of the house because you get stir crazy. I get stir crazy in the house. You need to reorient your psyche to nature. You shouldn't need to run. Your wives should not need to run to Target 20 times per week.
And isn't that the problem?
She
that
gets
men
stir crazy though.
Men are getting negotiated out of solid reasoning by their weak-minded wives because they use these excuses like, I'm getting stir crazy and oh my gosh, I need to socialize and I can't be at home. I hate being at home. There's enough to do. And then men are like, okay, those are good reasons why I should let my small, beautiful wife go into public and subject herself to possible crime, which is rampant, right? Like, this is not an unheard of story. We're seeing this all over. Women cannot protect ourselves. And I remember one time a family member was like, well, you should take self-defensive classes. Have you seen hilarious videos of a woman trying to actually defend herself with self-defensive mechanisms, like hitting him in the nose and going for the groin, and the guy just like powering through and still tackling her in like a split second. One guy, a woman put her, it was a funny video. She was trying to put a guy in an arm lock and they were on the ground. And he literally just stood up with her, like holding onto his arm, and just walked off with her like a handbag. He was like wearing a woman handbag, because women cannot protect themselves against men. That is fact. If you want to lie to yourself and say self-defensive classes and a bottle of mace in your purse and wearing a baseball cap and looking demure or whatever it is going to protect you from an urban black singling you out in a crowd and taking your life in a split second, then you are dumb. You're dumb. And you're allowing yourself to be cowed into negotiating out your safety because you don't want to appear mean to people by just saying the truth.
Yeah, there's not only a black male problem in America of violence, there is a white male problem of complete cuckery in America. These dudes will do literally, and we have some of them in the chat, will do anything, literally anything, to avoid telling their wives and daughters to remain at home. Now listen to this. This is the simple solution. Stay home. The catechism says to stay home. It says this is what's well ordered. You be there until you get married, and once you get married, you stay. I don't mean you have to be shut up forever. If you want to get out, I need my flat white. I got a Target. I want to get a sundress in my flat white. Okay, get your husband to take you. You're his problem. Okay, get your husband to take you. Then you won't be getting in car accidents, suburban car accidents needlessly, or fender benders. Your fender will stay nice. Just get him to take you at lunch or when he's off work. You don't need to be interacting that much. You should be at home beautifying, working on home projects. You should be homeschooling your children. You can go to the store together. Walmart makes deliveries.
For free.
For free.
Like, what are we doing here?
Okay. So you don't need your flat white exactly then. Make one at home. Make a home economy. Make it all beautiful around your home so you want to stay there. Steph just wants to stay there. And if you really want to go out, okay, that's fine. Do it. I'm not even being completely extreme. I know so many of these suburban broads that have been raised in the feminist puppy mill just can't go cold turkey. Okay, so do it half of the amount. You doubled your safety. Go 1/3 as much as you used to go to your little bullseye boutique run.
Gotta go to my class.
Gotta go to my spinning class. Get an exercise bike at home. Get a Peloton. Have your husband get you a Peloton. Remember that old ad? That was great.
That was awesome.
Get unfat at home, where you belong. Where you belong. Do you see what I mean? Everyone out there can see. Oh, man, Tim's got my number here. Because I'm a conservative. I have an NRA card. I love guns. I don't really know how to protect myself, but I have an NRA card. I'm to the right of Attila the Hun, man. I talk about this at work. I'm willing to, even now, the last couple years, because I'm allowed to talk about the urban black problem. Dude, I'm as far right as I can. Okay, but I have 5 daughters. They're all in different American cities, attending university, pretending to be men, more or less officially. You're not based. I have your number. If your daughter's away at college or living in another town from you, not living at your home until she's married, then you're not a conservative. Sorry, I know that's big, and I know people will be mad at me for the next 2 or 3 years till you find out in 2 or 3 years that I was right about this too. But if you value the safety of your young and middle-aged and old women, keep them at home. And this starts with homeschooling. Same shit goes with the story from a week and a half ago. Same shit goes with the story from the Catholic school in Minneapolis, Annunciation School. We now know that bio-Leninists run the system. Bio-Leninists run the system. They program the criminally insane to shoot up schools. It doesn't mean it will happen to your school, but you got a bunch of conduits, little children from divorced families that are ripe for the picking, that they can just be activated at any time. Remember in Naked Gun when the villain like activates Reggie Jackson? All these kids from divorced households, some of whom have dads that are way out of the picture. And, you know, maybe they're a little fruity. They can be activated kind of at any time, the more unstable of them. Not all kids from divorced households will become school shooters, but all school shooters are from divorced households, and they're less stable. Any of them can be activated at any time, even if they don't go to school with your kid now. They could have been an alumnus from the kid's school, and they could shoot it up. So what I'm saying is you begin to see my grand project coming together. More Jeffersonianism, more stay-at-home wives and daughters, and even like young sons. Moms, you don't need to be schlepping your kids around the suburbs all day long in minivans. It's dangerous. It's costly on gas. You guys are the ones bitching about gas. You're avoiding the home. As Pope Pius XII said, your houses aren't homes. You're never there. Even if you don't work, you got the working mom set, but even the ones that don't work are schlepping their kids around all day long, coming up with spinning class, and I got to go to Bullseye Boutique, and then I go to even fancier boutiques in town, and I meet my girls for lunch, and we go to the blah, 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 blah. Your house isn't a home. So your house is as dirty and as unkempt and as unhomely as many of the women that feel they have to work because of the two-income trap. You see how this works? So even though everyone's talking now about the red pill and feminism's a problem, we're not getting any real solutions because white men are so cucked that they have all of their kids in school, even though it's clearly dangerous. They're criminally dangerous bio-Leninist subclass that has everyone finally alerted, finally attuned, aware to the fact that, you know, there's always like a 1 in 400, 1 in 500, 1 in 300 chance my kid's school could get shot up. I roll those dice. And of course, you know, even whether it's Catholic or public ed, your kid's being educated like a Marxist, and you don't care about that. But send them anyway, because it gives the wife a chance, because she quit her job last year. She gets to tinker around in the minivan by day and go run all her errands. No one's in the home. The kids aren't in the home by day. The wife's not in the home by day. Your house isn't a house. It's just a house. It's not a home. And then as soon as your daughter turns 18, we pretend she's an adult. We pretend she's an adult male. Let's send her to, let's be good Catholics. Let's go to Catholic University of America. Let's send her to the most dangerous city in America, Washington, D.C. She can walk around because she's an adult. I don't like feminism, but my adult daughter should be walking around Washington, D.C. or USC, University of Southern California. Do you know where that is? That's an Echo Park, brother. Only rich white girls go to USC. It's a dumb rich white girl school, USC. And guess where it's at? It's at Echo effing Park, my man. And all of those dads of all of those daughters are cuckolds because they send their daughters there, loving their daughters, but haplessly, and not knowing, why do so many girls get raped every year at USC? It's because it's in Echo Park. Catholic University of America is in the most dangerous city in the world. So you start to see my whole project is, I'm not even trying to be extreme. I just want your wives and daughters safe. And the only way to do that is they should be out of commerce as a producer or a consumer, out of vehicles, definitely out of public transit, out of the cities, and even out of the suburbs, just at home, enjoying their homes, beautifying them, and being women. Do you see? And that's what I do. I have 6 daughters. And this is and they're happy all day. We homeschool them. They run around and play outside.
It's difficult. It's difficult doing your job well. Like, there's been times I've asked to do things, to go places, you know, and you're like, no, that's not happening today. Like when we first lived in Bakersfield and I wanted to go, and you knew the city better than I, and I wanted to go to certain parts of the city, and I believe in the catechism. So I asked your permission to go to those places because it's obvious why a husband shouldn't be aware of where his wife is throughout the day, because that's his job to protect her. And I asked you while you were at work, and there are many times where you're like, absolutely not. You're not going to that part of town. And that, for most men, I think, when their women hear that no, then they have to deal with a tantrum or like, well, I can do whatever I want to. Or who the heck do you think you are to tell me? Listen to me, women. When you got married, you gave consent for your husband to tell you to do whatever he wants. The catechism clearly says the only thing your husband's not allowed to do is tell you to sin. He can't tell you to use contraception or to have an abortion or not skip mass or do those things. Then you can licitly say no. But those instances are very rare.
But
if you decided to get married as a woman, your husband has authority over you to make the sort of decisions of where your body is going to be at any given time. And that's a good thing because women make poor choices for themselves. This is a terrible story. She should not have ever been on that bus or that train. She should never have been there. A man in her life should have stepped in and said, absolutely not. Here's the facts. She's on a bus at 10 o'clock at night in Charlotte, sat in front of an urban black. Again, why would you do that? Don't ever do that, ladies. Like you never sit with your back against somebody you don't know.
Well,
like,
girls don't know any better.
they don't know better. And that is the problem.
Because there are 100 common sense little rules of thumb you would use if you were on that train as a dude who knows how to defend yourself.
Right.
And you can't say all 100 every time they go out without them thinking about it. She thought, I wore a baseball cap and baggy clothing, so I'm safe. I'm sorry, it's tragic. You're not. Women, let me get a basic point of human civilization across, not even Western civilization. East meets West. Women are never safe. Women are never safe. You know why? Because they are so radically different from men. They are objects of beauty, even when they're not that beautiful. They're objects of beauty.
It's true.
They're prized objects of beauty. They're not men. They're not valued for what they do. They're valued for what they are. Oh, is your objectifying? Well, women have it nice. They're valued for what they are. Men have to do something to be prized by women. Women are just valued because this weirdo, beyond weirdo, this psychotic, disturbed animal weirdo prized her in a certain insane way and killed her. And this happens all across America from sea to shining sea because white fathers are so petrified of their women, their wives and semi-grown daughters, that they just won't say no. So they would rather risk having their daughters be Iryna, Zarutska than be called a mean dad from the first time. And if you raised your daughter right, she won't call you a mean dad when you say this anyway.
And if you have a wife that's not a brat, she understands that too. When your husband's like, you're not going in public, that's not happening unless I'm with you. Then you're like, oh yeah, he has prudence. He has understanding. He knows. That's how it's supposed to go.
This is the grand project, is getting women back at home. I don't mean chained to radiators. I don't mean... It's more, see, conservatives that are trying to be based but don't have a freaking clue. They don't have a clue how to really solve stuff. They'll be like, oh, repeal the 19th. Yeah, I'm for that. Women, it should be one vote per household. Steph hasn't voted in several elections, I think. But that's not going to solve anything. The basic problems are conservative men want the state to do the hard work of undoing feminism for them, instead of being the ones like I've done around my household. Like I'm telling you to do in the case for patriarchy. Just take it all back. We all have a great time. We have a great old time around my house. We just have a household economy, fun nonstop, very little fighting, very little arguing. We're playing video games by day. We homeschool, we play video games. We take little family outings, go into town, get something to eat, come back. We're all together. We're pretty much together. And I've done that because I didn't say, oh, well, I need the government to repeal the 19th. I need the government to repeal maternity leave. Maternity leave's a terrible idea because it incentivizes women more
to go back to work.
So I'm not for any of these things. I have the conservative view on those. Repeal them all. But they won't even be necessary if men pull their wives and their adult daughters back to the home. You guys bake bread, make cookies, fall's coming up, beautify, plant a garden, journal, learn pianoforte, cook, learn to cook exotic new things. Again, we're not homesteaders. That's kind of a LARP to me. But if you get goats, get chickens, do something homely in the curtilage, flowers. Get a vegetable garden, but plant flowers if you don't have enough to actually grow food. again, paint, color, learn watercolors, calligraphy, take naps, hell, watch Netflix, anything, read books, read novels. Steph has read like 30 novels this year because I afford her the ability to be at home. But conservative white men are so pathetic that their wives tell them they have to be out and about in public, and their daughters too, and they don't think they can do anything about it. So they just risk them getting Iryna Zarutska. It's really sad.
People are saying that we're blaming white women for getting strapped by blacks. This is the problem. Can I just say
bullshit?
This is the
not blaming her.
We're saying that it's built in women to make bad choices and that they need men to protect them. And yes, obviously her deciding to do this, to go on a public transport and sit in front of an urban black, bad choice. But that's what women do. We make those sorts because we're not thinking that way. That's not how we're built. We're not built naturally to start like with our head on a swivel, like looking to fight people or to protect things. We're the ones that get protected, right? So our minds are not in general built that way. That's why men around us need to step in, like the catechism says, and say, no, you're not allowed to do this. This is a bad choice. This is a bad thing that you're wanting to do. This is not prudent. You do not go on a bus at 10 o'clock at night and sit in front of an urban black with your back exposed.
Yeah,
That's why men need to do this
For
stuff.
the morons out there, this is what we always do, define terms, because terms are equivocal. Blame could mean castigation, hard castigation, like hard punishment. Now, unfortunately, this is a decedent victim, or soft castigation, something more like shaming. I don't think either is necessary for Iryna Zarutska. I don't think her story needs to be one of sort of legacy shame on her, or obviously castigation because she's passed away, unfortunately. So that's one sense of blame in which I'm not blaming women. There is, if you want to say, a secondary sense of blame where I'm like, well, yeah, if you're just saying preserve the causal chain by propositions, say, yes, if she had made different choices, she wouldn't be there. You guys, because you're cucked, you play the leftist game of saying, oh, you're blaming the victim. No, I mean, I'm saying if she had chosen to drive a car, at the very least, even if she's going about in cities, she'd probably be alive today. That's just a fact. If she had chosen to travel about with her father, she'd be, or her brother, or even a male friend, she'd be alive today. That's not blaming. I just have a forebrain that preserves a sense of causality at all times. And I'm saying she shouldn't be shamed or blamed in the strict sense because it's too late and she would do it if she had it back to do. But who I do blame are people like you and the white men in your lives who are too cucked to tell you this, to learn the lesson from other people's sad errors. That's all I'm saying. So the only one I really blame are you people who say that stuff, who say the cucked, borrowed from the left, soft talking points. Like, well, you're blaming. No, I feel really bad for her. I'm just saying learn the lessons from others' errors so you don't have to repeat them. Your daughters don't have to repeat them.
And this is, we have a challenge in chat, and I'll put on screen. It says both men and women sin, both make bad choices. The natural hierarchy of sexes doesn't mean that women make bad choices. That is not true.
It's not true.
Why do you think, Dorothea, that God made men the leaders? Because obviously they possess in their intellect, in their very souls, something that distinguishes them from us with prudent decision making. Their very bodies are distinguished from ours. They're larger, they're faster, they have better brain capacity than we do. That is not true. The reason women need to be protected is because we possess things that are lesser than men in some significant ways. Or else God would not say writ large, men are over women. Men protect women. He would say in some instances where woman's brain wasn't functioning as well as a man, and then would break down to individual man and women cases. No. He said men are in charge of women and protect women because women are not insignificant, but they're not as good as men in very specific ways, leadership, decision making, and so forth.
Yeah.
This. I'm sorry that you're uncomfortable with just nature as God created it. And this is honestly, this is why a lot of men out there are so cucked, because the women in their lives say things like that to try to push back, right? They'll say, well, not all women make bad decisions. And then the men in the background like, yeah, okay, wife, yeah, I don't want to fight with you over this. No, God said men are in charge.
That's a great example. So women like this are, and it's probably nice women, but they're saying this all over America, retarded, un-Catholic platitudes. I'll read you Aquinas in a second, saying you're wrong. We're saying retarded things, and their husband's not going, no, you're wrong, going, oh, okay, and truckling to silly female sentiments. It's that simple. And again, we don't blame or castigate victims. It's really, really sad. But you ought to learn, oh, wow, I don't want my daughter or my wife to have to suffer the same truly sad fate because we had the chance to listen to Iryna's sad tale, and yet we had cotton stuffed in our ears. Here's what Aquinas says. So everyone has, in book 6 of the Nicomachean Ethics, every human being, male and female, have the capacity for practical wisdom. The highest form of practical wisdom is called phronesis or prudence. Every moral agent has this, male or female. But there's a special type of prudence called regnative prudence that is reserved for rulers large and rulers small. This is a male virtue specifically because males are the ones that rule on a small scale households. So fathers, brothers, sons of fathers are even training for the future to have their own households. So men have regnative virtue, women do not. So all women, even women, have some prudence. They have more prudence than little children or animals who don't have any prudence, but men have more. And men also, you might not have noticed, tend to be bigger than women. And bigger people get attacked less.
This is why
and men are also stronger and faster. You probably didn't realize that also.
Our same problem child in chat, Brad said, so when a black man kill white men, who's at fault? Is it the white man for some reason? Like,
wow.
Dude,
wow. There are truly
are
IQ
you a boomer?
75s out there.
Let me guess, you say happy wife, happy life, Brad. Like that. Men belong in public because they can handle it. I'm not saying that they're indestructible. I'm saying they're better equipped because they're faster, bigger, smarter than women to handle this type of situation you're seeing on the screen right now. Do I believe that men get killed by other black? Obviously. But in a situation, if there were a white man sitting right there where she was, he would have been, in general, better prepared for that situation.
Let me give you a real example, Brad. I know you probably don't understand, but see, I've been attacked by black men. Actually multiple times in public. And guess what I did? I beat them in the face, right? So I as a white basketball player, I've been attacked. And guess what I did? I beat the hell out of them.
One of them was like stepping on my fingers.
Yeah.
Because I was,
If Steph has never been nearly stepping on your fingers.
Yeah.
Steph has never been attacked by a black man. And if she had, an urban black, it would have been really, really bad. Probably either leading to extreme violence or rape or murder. Because this is what happens. So you because all morons do this, like to use make the rule by exception. Exception makes bad law, we say. Men, while not invincible, I've had my nose broken like 3 times, but men, while not invincible, are by and large, particularly if they're not weak little cucked men, are by and large will bounce back. That's fine. I had my nose broken in that very fight. Still got in a lot of good hits. My friend Chad had him in reverse guard and was threatening. I mean, he was bringing him back, bringing him in and out in reverse guard.
That fight lasted a long time. If it were me, my neck would have been broken in 3 seconds.
So
that's why women don't belong in
public.
In public,
except with men.
A black guy could take me out in 3 seconds.
Any guy could take you.
Literally. Like I'm not a big person. I'm 5'4". That's the average height for a woman. I could get what are we not getting here?
It's unbelievable.
Conservatives are like, well, men and women are different. And then when it actually comes to practical living, then they're like, no, we're not different. We're not different at all.
Brad needs a cutting edge Matt Walsh film to be like, what is a woman? It took 90 minutes for you to be like, oh, I get it. So a woman is not a man, which is basically all I told you. There needs to be a new movie 4 years later, 3 years later, that's like because man not equal woman, we do different thing. And then Brad will be like, oh, I get it. I guess because we're not the same. Like a wrench isn't a hammer, so wrenches and hammers shouldn't find themselves in the same situations.
Can I say, because a lot of people are saying like the victim blaming thing, like this is the problem with women decision making.
Yeah.
When misfortune befalls women, it's usually from she shouldn't have been there in the circumstances that she was. Like, and I've heard like people saying this, and this is going to be very unpopular, but I'm going to say it. But it's like when there's a rape, it's like you hear about the woman's like drunk and she's at a party or things like that. Not like she's in her own house and somebody breaks in and does these things. Women are not very self-protective. We typically try to help to protect ourselves, but you hear lots of cases where a woman is like late at night and she gets attacked in some way, and I'm like, what is she doing out there? What is happening? Why are you drunk around men you don't know? Why are you dressing like this in front of strangers you have absolutely no business, that you don't know about them? Why are you trusting people like when you're out in public without like a husband or father? Why are you doing these things? That's why men step in to the women that they have in their lives, in their circle, and they say, this is not a prudent decision. You should not be getting drunk around men you don't know. You should not be out in public late at night. You shouldn't be walking down alleyways or taking buses by yourself. This is not prudent decision making. So yes, of course, we don't want misfortune to befall women. I'm saying that the reason God instituted men as a protector is because in general, women don't make those prudent decisions because they're not thinking that way. And even when they are trying to think that way, like clearly this young, beautiful woman she's wearing a baseball cap and loose clothing and she's kind of keeping to herself and stuff. Those are not the measures that actually work. And if a man were in her life, we would have said, do not take this bus. I will drive you. Do not take night classes. Do not work super late at night where you're having to take public transport. We'll work this out in our family. We'll take you there. We'll drive you there. We'll make sure that you're okay. And this is a failure on us too. It's not just the urban blacks. That's a whole other issue.
This is too many words though. It's either a fact or not that public transit exposes one, public exposure exposes one to dangers that are not present in private. It's either a fact or not. Now, there's a great expression of this in tort law by the timeless Judge Learned Hand, B is less than PL. And what it means is the burden upon a potential tortfeasor to not act or to act a certain way, to change behaviors, is less than the probability of some sort of loss times the magnitude of that loss. And it's just a general sort of linear thought experiment to show if it's a big loss, but a small probability, that might be enough to change your behavior. If it's a high probability of a smallish to medium loss, you might want to change your behavior. That's all he's saying. And the morons and parrots out there and the cucks who know that they're exposing their women to this kind of danger right now, you're watching and you're like, I'm needling at your conscience because you're like, my wife and all my daughters are out there, my sister or whatever, my girlfriend, they're all out there exposed to this precise sort of danger that Zarutska was. All you do, like anyone who's been backed into a moral corner, irrevocable moral corner, is you use leftist talking points. You're blaming the victim. No, I'm not even talking about Iryna, man. God rest her soul. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about your wives and your daughters. That's who I'm talking to. I'm not even talking about Iryna. God rest her soul. I don't need to say another word about her. I'm just using the fact pattern. This is what we do as lawyers. I'm using the fact pattern in this criminal law case, as it will be hitting the courts sometime in 2026. I'm using the fact pattern to make new black letter law, which is what the common law is really all about. And this isn't black letter law for the city. This is black letter law as it should govern, as it should have always governed your homes, particularly if you're Roman Catholics out there or Christians, because women are called in the Bible and in the Roman Catechism to be at home almost all the time, unless extreme necessity impels her to go out. And you're living in direct contravenience of this. You're living basically the life of a transsexual in terms of the expectations on the women in your household. So you want to blame me. So you're actually blaming me. I'm the victim that you're blaming. It's a transsexual mode of thought, even though you'd laugh at the idea of a man wearing a dress because you're a conservative normie or whatever.
You think that's cutting edge?
That's cutting edge. Oh, a man can't wear a dress. And now you've got in your head the last couple of years around the idea that in certain other ways, men are the leaders. But all I'm telling you is the main modus of your life inheres in expecting women to be public as men. And that's the main form of feminism. And you're still all in on it. Women are public, men are public too. No, men are public. That's why they vote. That's why they go abroad. That's why they travel. That's why they use public transit or their own cars. That's why they go to jobs. That's why they run the errands typically on their way home from work. You know, back in the day, honey, could you pick up a gallon of milk on your way home from work? That's what a family looks and sounds like, not the mom running around. And I know you're living in direct contravenience of that because you believe women are inherently public natured, just like men, and you're wrong. And you're a herd animal in that way.
Once we started believing that women belong in public spaces, when we started infiltrating the workplace and that sort of thing, then everything went downhill from there. Then people actually started believing they're safe in the public spaces, that they belong there, right? It's that none of that is.
What's the palliative cliche that they have to believe to justify the continued existence there? Once you're like, well, I'm sending my daughter to college in Washington, D.C., I guess it's safe. That's literally how NPCs reason. Instead of going, it's not safe in Washington, D.C., or really in any college towns. And it's not really even safe for my daughter to be like driving because I mean, my daughters will get licenses, but I don't want them to be driving much at all because they have slow reaction times. So it's inherently more dangerous. Steph drives, she has a license, just renewed her license, barely ever goes out without me. It's just not necessary. And once you get your head around the fact that we've read it 3 times, that the catechism reflects this, oh, women should be at home unless impelled by necessity to go out. They should love to remain at home. It tells you not only you should be there, but you should have an attitude about being there. That's a big claim. That's a more ambitious claim than just you ought to be there. You're not grounded to your homes. If you ground a kid, you say you have to stay in your room. Parents would never say you have to stay in your room and love it. The catechism is saying you have to stay home and love it because it's telling you you have your whole home. You're not confined to a dark closet like a kid being grounded. You're not chained to a radiator. Women used to be good at being women, beautifying private spaces, because before the world of transgender, by which I mean feminism, first wave feminism, before 100 years ago, women just knew they were inherently private spirited. Men were a mixture of private and public spirited.
And they knew how to be women. They perfected the art of femininity. They weren't needing target runs and like play dates and things like that because they were learning how to do things that were actually feminine, like sewing and painting and these sorts of things. They tended to those first. And then they have obviously socialization and things like that. But most of these broads that are out saying that they hate being at home, you don't even know how to be a woman. You don't know how to do anything. And that's the problem. Being at home, even with or without kids. We have a supporter that wanted us to do a show on this about how even when you don't have children, a woman should still be at home because your vocation is a wife. And that when you do it well and you're not just an ape doing it, requires skill and finesse and time. It's not just like, oh, he'll take what he gets and I'll just throw together a couple of bread sandwiches for him. No, being a good wife, even without kids, takes your day. It takes your day if you're doing it right with attention and to detail. So why are we leading to, I'm hearing this all the time, well, I need to run errands, I need to go do this, I'm bored at home. Like if you're a woman who says that you're not bored you're bored at home, then you're uncreative. Then you need to sit down and figure out, what typically are things that women bring to the world? Beauty and fine cooking and comfort. A good attitude and comfort. Maybe I need to learn some of those things before I'm just like, sniffing candles at Target and just running around with my flat white or whatever. It's like, there are things that you could be doing at home. Lots of things.
And we're not even homesteaders. That's the thing. We're not even like, conservatives will push back on the homestead thing and be like, that's kind of LARPy. I sort of agree. I mean, but at least those women who are homesteading are learning new skills, and
God
they are
bless
useful skills. I'm not anti-homesteading, but that's not our thing. I find it a little LARPy too. Steph stays home and finds other ways, either gardens with vegetables, gardens with, but I mean, not enough to like feed our full family, just messes with vegetables, plants flowers. What else do you do? You journal, you read novels, you paint, you play the flute.
I embroider. I learned how to sew. Like, I mean,
cook, clean, bake, try to bake new things, try experimental recipe. There is so much, and then help me do this stuff by day. There's so much to do and so much to learn by day. Go learn an instrument. Go learn another language. Go learn calligraphy.
Anything. Yeah. Don't be on your phone. I did a thing for ladies. You're on your phones too much. You're not being creative. You don't know how to be a lady. You don't know how to do woman things, and you're on your phone at Target. People are laughing in chat because they're saying that I have a hatred for Target. No, I actually love Target. But again, there's when I want to go to Target, like sometimes you're just like, I'm not going to Target. I'm not wasting money and time at Target. Like we're not going to do this. Sometimes
we'll go together.
Yeah,
literally.
When I go,
get our flat whites together, boys.
When I go with my what do they call it back in the day? It was
chauffeur.
Yeah, like my protector. My Lord
Gentleman
Protector.
attaché.
My Lord Protector comes with me because obvious.
Because of Urban Black.
Why? Why do you think that is, geniuses out there? Why do you think a woman needs to be protected? Do we get it yet? Are we just going to keep pretending that like women can handle these situations by themselves?
Just tell me this.
Right?
If it's victim blaming, here's the funny thing. You saying, this is the cucked conservative response. Urban blacks are dangerous. The mainstream media didn't cover this, and there should be a public execution. You are deballed. You're literally impotent. None of those three things are going to change anything. Yes, urban blacks are dangerous. Saying it doesn't protect your women. Saying, I don't know what you think, there's some sort of cultural signposting that's happening. You're telegraphing, I'm really cool, even though everyone's allowed to say this now, that there should be a public execution. I agree, by the way. And whatever the third one is, saying, oh, mainstream media. So you have not improved your wife or your daughter's safety scenario, your overall safety probability when they're going about their day-to-day lives in the burbs or the urbs by one whit, by one corpuscle. All you've done is you've said something that made you feel self-satisfied on Twitter.
So you thought was cutting edge, like urban blacks are a problem. What really is your job is to tell your women no. And women, your job is to shut up and accept it and to not do what your husband thinks is bad for you. Just shut up about it. You don't need to argue. I'm a woman. I'm a grown-ass woman. I can do whatever. None of that. Men, tell your women no, and women shut up and accept it. That's what needs to happen. That's honestly, like when you pointed, because I was guilty of the same thing when this story came out. I was like, oh my goodness, no one's talking about this. And like, look at the urban black problem. And you were like, duh. That was it. Yeah. You're like, the problem is the men and women issue, like it always is. Like it always is. Like people should have protected this beautiful young woman. And she should never have been in that situation to begin with.
No, we know she's an immigrant and we know she wasn't married. Doesn't change a thing. Because it happened in an American city where we send our unmarried young daughters to university. Charlotte has several universities. It's a university town. This proves the point. And people saying it's relatively safe proves my point even better. That militates against your point. If you're ostensibly pro-women in public. But this was a relatively safe train. I send my daughter on even more dangerous trains. I'm like, you're making my point, idiots.
And this is why
if this is considered a safe train, then you just slam dunked the ball for me on your own basket because it's not safe because this happened. This happens. It will always happen because urban centers in America are uniquely violent places because we have uniquely violent urban black people. Nowhere else in the world, aside from maybe Africa, has people this violent in its urban centers. But in Africa, they don't have as distinguishable, as collocated as identifiable as we do urban centers.
Yeah.
So stay away. So this does become an issue of, are you more Hamiltonian at heart or more Jeffersonian? I'm strongly Jeffersonian. Stay in your own places. Stay out. I mean, like, even I'm not venturing in. We go to New Orleans to go to Pelicans games, but I don't send my
Colorful,
daughters
lawless
there.
swamp.
Yeah, the colorful, lawless swamp of New Orleans. You see, you're beginning to see my whole project emerge. And it is Jeffersonian, and it is patriarchal, and it is a return to our own spaces, and it is truly anti-feminist in a way that almost no one else out there is.
Mm-hmm.
Women are private-spirited, whereas men are public-spirited. So I just want to see, not in some cutting-edge based way, I just want to see women and children return to the home, where the houses will be homes by days, and men, hopefully they can return there too. I like being at home as much as I can, but men are a mix. So you have to kind of be a mix and go out and about. You have to be the one to go get the milk if you don't homestead, etc. I think we've made our point here. But I will say this. This is a Pius XII quote. No, this is a Pius XI quote. Why he's talking about wives being out of the home because of work. It's the debasing of womanly character and the dignity of motherhood of the whole family, as a result of which the husband suffers the loss of his wife, the kids of their mother, and the home and family of an ever-watchful guardian. This false liberty and unnatural equality with the husband, this applies not just to working, but to any time she leaves the home, is to the detriment of the woman herself. For if the woman descends from her regal throne in Christian homes, she will soon be reduced to the old state of slavery and become, as among the pagans, a mere instrument of man. Think of this sad story. Think of the sad story of all these school kids, what happened just by being forced into the lie that they should be out and about, educated somewhere other than their homes. To abuse the years of childhood and limited strength of women is grossly wrong. Mothers should work in the home or its immediate vicinity. It's an intolerable abuse to be abolished at all costs for mothers to be forced to engage in gainful occupations outside the home. That's Pius XI. Now here's Pius XII. He's just talking about women being forced out of the home to work or to do all this stuff, to be treated like they're men. Has woman's position been thereby improved? Equality of rights with man brought her abandonment of home. The main theme in feminism is the abandonment of home, whether it's all day or just more frequently. Where she reigned queen, repeated theme from Pius XI, and her subjection to the same work strain and hours, entailing depreciation of her true dignity and her solid foundation of her rights, her feminine role. We see a woman who, in order to augment her husband's earnings, betakes herself to a factory, leaving her house abandoned during her absence. The house, untidy and small perhaps before, becomes even more miserable for her lack of care of it. Now, think about women who are running so many errands by day that they're gone almost as much as they would be if they had a job. Maybe these women don't even have the second family income. They just run errands so much. This is what I'm talking. I'm talking about everyone out there who has not yet fallen victim to some heinous crime like Iryna Zarutska. It's sad for her. For us, it's a learning moment that men really are different from women, and also that women are really different from men. Sorry, it's such a new lesson for so many of you.
We get the chirping sectary conservatives online talking about that with like the tranny issue all the time. Men can't ever be a woman. But then when you have to actually apply it to your lives, you guys are nowhere to be found. Like that, when you have to actually tell your women no, like, no, you have to be a woman. You got to do what I say. You're not allowed to just do whatever you want. Then it's like then it's like, oh nope, women can do whatever a man can do, and we're so lost. This is why conservatives always lose. This is why we lose every time, because we just want to like on South Park with like the heads that like move when they talk. It's like that. It's like that's how I see like conservatives on the internet. It's just like the top part of the head opens up and they're just like, I'm saying some talking point. It makes no, like, that it's just going to be some normie talking point, and then
there's no solution.
There's no solution.
We
to
know
anything.
Urban blacks are dangerous. We know that ones that do crimes like this should be publicly executed. We know the mainstream media won't talk about it. What are you going to do? Are you actually going to start doing the patriarchal conservative thing and quit treating your daughters like tranny boys and keeping them at home? Homeschool them. if you feel the need to give them a college education, have them go to commuter schools. Keep them at home. But see, this gets into your Puritan, I don't care whether you're Catholic or maybe secular or whatever, your Puritan inbred presupposition that kids are out of the house when they're 18. See, this is the thing. This is where the contraceptive mindset infected everyone. Well, I can only deal with them for 18 years and I want them off at college so I can go. Then you get into all these other secondary, tertiary, quaternary disorders. And it's because people don't want their kids around longer than 18 years. Well, they have to go to college. They don't have to go to college. And if they go to college, go to a commuter school. So they don't have to be taking the L train or whatever the hell this was at 10 p.m. where urban blacks just pick them off.
I haven't been out without you in years.
Can you imagine wanting to?
No, like I have no business acting that way. By the way, it's South Park Canadians.
Yeah.
Like all normie Catholic, normie conservatives on the internet, when they say anything, they're just South Park Canadians. Like their top of their head opens up and it's like, it's like there's no point at all. That's them. That is the visual image I have with these conservative men who are out there on the internet right now on Twitter bemoaning that the urban blacks are a problem while they're letting their wives just do whatever, ride buses at night, run around, all day long without any sort of accountability of where they're at and when they get there and who's around them and any of that stuff. It's wild.
I'll quote Nicole from Twitter, a great account that I follow and follows me. These are hard times for the reasonably observant. Great account. I always agree with Nicole. Yeah. She always seems to, we just, I always salute Nicole. She's got a picture with her husband for her Abby. I don't think we've ever disagreed. These are hard times for the reasonably observant. It's just, that your quippings about urban blacks and public death penalty speculation and the mainstream media being radio silent on this issue do nothing to solve the problem that we have. The problem is a black male problem in inner cities, and it is a white male problem in suburbs. And you know it. You haven't done anything, so don't attack me. Look to yourself first, friends.
We'll do some super chats if that's okay. Braden said, very simple. If my wife isn't at home, I'm with her. I don't understand how this is upsetting to people. I will never let go of my baby girl until she marries a man I approve of. Duh. Right? Yeah. Then he said, duh. Because it's a duh. Like nothing we're saying this should be completely obvious to people. Like the fact that this is shocking to most of you is shocking to me.
Didn't Braden win one of our we raffled off my notes from the Jay Dyer debates. I think Braden won the second raffle.
Right.
We still have to do the raffle for the papacy one. We'll be sending those out.
Right.
Momentito. But yeah, these are just my people, dudes that are like, I guess, the elect are like the people where we're preaching to the choir and they totally get it. And then everybody else is just kind of bitter.
Yeah.
Is that it? Like, I don't know.
Next super chat, 45% of women 25 to 45 will be single and childless by 2030. Their prime working years, or so the propaganda says. This problem won't go away soon. Dads think they're protecting their daughters by telling them to be independent. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like saying dads think they're protecting their daughters by telling them to go cake themselves in lamb's blood and then walk around to lions. I don't know how anyone's this retarded. Dads should protect their daughters by protecting them until they get a protective husband who takes over the job. Remember the whole lifting of the veil, the father walking the bride? Yeah,
that's what you do at a wedding, is you hand your daughter. You're like, my seconds of protecting this woman are now over. And now I'm literally handing her over to another man to protect her. She literally, in the transfer of the dad holding her hand to the milliseconds it takes for her to put his daughter's hand in her new husband's hand, that's milliseconds that she was unprotected, right, by a male. That's what it symbolizes.
Right.
When we're doing things the right way.
It's so hard to teach normies things because you don't know how small the lesson has to go. You think, I'll just give the big angles. And then you're like, it's like what Bill Cosby said about telling his kids, I guess bad example because he's like a raper, but about telling his kids to go take a shower at night. He's like, you think you could just say, go up there, take a shower, come downstairs, give us a kiss goodnight, and go to bed. But you can't. See, with NPCs, you have to go upstairs, turn on the water, turn on reasonably hot water, not scalding, not freezing. Use soap on the dirtiest parts of your body to wash. Then once washed, rinse it off with the same temperature water. Turn both faucets off. Dry yourself with a towel. This is very important, critical point. You can't just jump into clothes wet. You have to dry yourself with a towel. You need undergarments and reasonable temperature and season-specific overgarments. Pick up your dirty clothes, fold the towel, then walk downstairs, left, right. You have to do that with people because, I mean, conservatives are like, no, I watched What is a Woman? And guess what? I know a woman is not a man. And then you're like, well, okay, what does this require? What are the corollaries? They're like, what do you mean? I send my daughter to university to be a breadwinner and to get a job, and she uses public transit. I mean, hey, I mean, I can complain that there are urban blacks everywhere.
She's an adult woman.
But she's an adult. What else can I do? It's the Bill Cosby thing.
Clueless.
We can't just give these lessons. They have to be like itemized for you.
And they sound really wild at first, don't they? Until you start noticing why scripture set things up a certain way, why men are in charge. Once you start seeing, oh, that's why, then it's really hard to unsee it. Tim, serious question. Would it be harder for Steph to homeschool if you had a 9-to-5? We did that for years, so it was fine.
Yeah, I mean, she's not quite as good at it as I am, but not really, because then when the kids got older, if I did have a 9-to-5, she would do an hour in the morning. I'd do the tougher hour in the evening. By the way, I mean, like, I know like Scott Hahn does this. By the time your kids are in high school homeschooling, if you're doing like, 14, 15, 16-year-old, it's mainly self-guided. It's mainly reading really good books and writing prompts on them. And high school homeschool is not a lot of, you can oversee, okay, do these Latin problems, but you don't have to there's the whole lecture thing in lecture works for an undergrad education when you haven't studied pre-law or you don't really study philosophy or theology much as a high schooler, or some hard science. You've never heard that stuff before, so lecture matters. But for high school, it's pretty much just to go do these exercises in algebra or calculus or your Latin book, and then read the Aeneid, the Iliad, the Odyssey, and then write this paper on it, and we'll discuss it at dinner. Right. You don't really. So the more complex the students' education get, the less you have to do. Somebody said,
so you don't go out on your own at all, not even grocery shopping. Sorry, only just joined this live, missed most of it. No, I like Tim is very protective over me. I am very lucky to have a husband who loves me and is takes his role as protector very, very, very seriously. And Tim has been in positions before, even before we were married. I had this very odd stalker situation where it got kind of crazy. He literally drove me out of a state to protect me because the police are like, you better watch out. This guy's seeming like he's going to make some sort of weird move. So
in what was called, and it won 3 years running, the safest city in America, Plano, Texas.
And
there's just weirdos everywhere.
This was in my own home. I was not doing
the home you grew up in.
This is a home I grew up in. And at some random time, some guy I don't know, must have saw me doing something, and then just broke into my car, took all my my personal items, took some photos of me, all this stuff, weird stuff. Anyway, long story short, the police were like, you need to, if you're going to move, because I was planning to move anyway. He was like, if you need to move, you need to get out of here right now, because this guy is taking personal items. This is building up to be a problem. And so Tim, even when we were dating, was like, I'm driving you out of state and making sure you get to your dad's house. This is how men protect women. There have been situations.
I literally drove you. This is before we were even dating. This is when you'd broken up with your previous boyfriend. It was kind of assumed, you'd broken up. We'd been friends a long time, but we were just friends who knew we were probably going to date. And they're like, I'm going to get you from Texas to California. You're at your mom's house. I was like, you're going to start going to college. in California and staying with your dad or your grandma, I'm like, I'm going to get you from point A to point B, because you literally had a stalker in the safest city in America at the house you grew up in when you're like 19, 20, 21.
I never saw who it was either. I never knew.
Well, we saw him a second time.
But I never saw his face. Like, oh yeah, we did. Like, we were on a date one time and there's a guy in a yellow truck, like behind my car, just steaming, like just staring. A car was idling and he was just staring at the back of my car. Tim brought me home from a date and just noticed this truck in front of my house, like just really close to my car. And the guy in it was just like staring intently at the back of my car and didn't even notice Tim had approached him.
I was like, you go in, I'm going to accost this man. I was trying to get to him. He drove off. So we don't want to miss the point. The point is that was in literally what was called the safest city in America, like 3 times that same decade, Plano, Texas. And in the most boring, white, suburban, safest city in America, this stuff was happening. My house got broken into by an illegal immigrant while I was home in between 6th and 7th grade in the safest city in America. We had to run next door, me and my older brother. Stuff happens. And you guys are borrowing trouble by sending your daughters to Charlotte and Washington, D.C. and Echo Park and Berkeley and I don't know, Madison, Wisconsin. These are not particularly safe places. And you're just borrowing trouble. And I know I've had my house broken into. Steph's had her car broken into in a really stalkery pattern.
You slept out in my front yard with a cinder block when this was happening because, like, they thought I was going to be murdered. Like, the police literally said that this is probably going to to be gearing up for murder. You need to get the hell out of here.
waited out there for a while. I slept on your mom's den floor.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Facts. No, yeah.
But
I mean, but this is what
it's just what I believe. I just believe men fight, we scrap. I'm ready to go. And I have 6 daughters. The Lord blessed me with 6 daughters, and I'm always ready to defend them. And I'm not particularly suspicious because I was always a pretty good dude. I know there are a lot of good young men out there. I just I'm eager for them to get married, whenever they meet one of these young men. And then I know they'll do a good job protecting them too. But that's why men have to be manly and not trust the structures of society, the infrastructure, the civic structures, the cultural expectations, the public trust is gone. The cracks in the walls they're beyond cracks now.
They're not good men.
And I guess you guys just don't
is
know
not
that.
Going to protect your women. You protect your women. Like, even when Tim is very responsible. He has me at home. He drives me to and from the grocery store. Like, when we need to go, we run errands typically together. He moved us to a very safe part of the country and a very safe part, neighborhood. We're gun owners. We have all these things. But even in that parameter where my husband is very protective, weird things still happen. But guess what? He's around to protect me, or he's putting things in place to make sure that, if something horrible would befall me, that at least he's done everything he can do. But there are some obvious ones that most men are not doing. They're just not protecting their ladies. They're letting the women make the decisions for themselves, and women are making poor decisions for themselves. And men who are supposed to love them aren't stepping in and being like, you're not going to take a bus at 10 o'clock at night. Sorry, this isn't going to happen. We'll drive you. I will, we'll figure out a way as a family to make sure that you need to get to and from in safety. That is why men are great, because that is why God instituted men as the leaders and the protectors, because they make better decisions in that way.
And I think we've flogged the horse enough, but you guys can see how maybe radically disparate your view of what a cutting edge conservative thing to say was an hour and a half ago, and now what the truly conservative thing to say about this is an hour and a half later. Like, whoa, I thought Tim was going to do a black-white rant. Well, I know urban blacks are really dangerous. I thought he was going to do a mainstream media lies rant. That's what Fox News is doing, bro. That's what Greg Gutfeld is doing. Bro.
People are talking about the hypocrisy of the Democrats. They're saying that the blacks need more resources this is what conservatives are like. We look ridiculous.
What parrots? I don't even think it looks ridiculous because conservatives are such parrots. They don't know what other parrots look like. It only looks ridiculous to people that actually know. It's a funny time for the moderately observant, or whatever Nicole said. That's what sticks out to me. But conservatives just miss, or the right wing, whatever you want to call it. You thought I was going to come on and do a mainstream media lies. Democrats are hypocrites, and they're, blacks are dangerous, and that's cutting edge. But see, that's all just it's bantha fodder, man. That's bred in circuses. That's just you satisfying yourself by having something to say that's remotely, approximately conservative-ish.
I gotta show this. Like literally every conservative. I'm looking at Twitter right now. It's literally, it's like, this guy was arrested 14 times. The Democrats are being
blah,
hypocrites.
blah, blah.
They don't care about white women. The major media is not reporting on this. Like, nobody is saying the obvious.
No, the one that broke last night was, there should be a public execution.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
Cool,
Wikipedia
dude.
is taking down the murder article. Like, this is why we lose.
This is why we lose.
We just say stuff like that, and we don't have our households in order.
Because we don't have good conservative leaders. That's what it is. This is what they'd be telling you. And you guys, there are a lot of people that watch this show lovingly, or a fair amount of people that watch this show lovingly and trustingly. This is what the leaders make good observations. But Alfred North Whitehead said, you judge an era not by its suppositions, but by its presuppositions. You judge an era not by its suppositions, but by its presuppositions. See, I know all the suppositions are all the things that all the morons and the parrots and the NPCs are saying, thinking they're good.
Case in point, Charlie Kirk writing to CNN and WAPO. Then we have Benny Johnson talking about the mayor, that she let the guy walk free after 14 thing. Again, just like another story of whites being ignored in the media. The George Floyd is being mentioned. Wikipedia striking down their thing.
What if the shoe was on the other foot? That's another one.
Yeah, here we go. The Democrats did this when George Floyd overdosed and totally ignored Iryna being murdered. She was, I mean, it's all this.
No, keep going through.
Okay.
You see the
Ian Chong, Wikipedia is erasing the Wikipedia page on this murder. I'm literally just going through. Judges need to be held accountable when violent repeat offenders.
All of these things I think are true. I don't think you've said one thing that I disagree with.
But it starts at home, like with everything. You keep your women at home, and we don't need legislation, and they don't have to interact with guys who've been arrested 14 times and led on the streets. And public spaces aren't safe, even when you have legislation, because there's still going to be psychotic, rampaging urban blacks where you go. You're not going to stop that from being the case. Charlie Kirk, we call the monster who killed a career criminal. How did we ever get to a place in society where we even have a category for career criminal? I mean, it's just like nobody is saying anything. The mayor of Charlotte said she refuses to condemn the man who killed Iryna. These are all conservative accounts.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it weren't for X, I would never have heard about this. Legacy media is a problem. Like, this isn't, it's a problem, but it's like 6 down the line.
But see, this is where I guess I have to do a better job, more ambitious. I have connections that I could probably use to maybe get on Piers Morgan. Got to change the conversation. Can't just keep preaching to the choir. So the people that are hearing the real truth out of current events, like the school shooting in Minneapolis, you got to homeschool. It's just obvious, or else there is this not impossible, not nearly impossible situation every school year of your kid's school getting shot up because of the bio-Leninists. And you should be homeschooling anyway. What are you doing?
Right.
And then, you need 2 weeks later, Iryna Zarutska. Why are your women out and about in the agora, in the public spaces? They should be agoraphobic women. They should not feel safe. Then that's not because I want them to live in fear, but just because nature is women should not feel safe in public. That's not how God designed us. Women are private spirited, men are public spirited. So we got to get this out. I'm gonna take some steps, some efforts actually to get this out of just the little choir we're always preaching to here. Whenever I take a few modicum steps toward, you know, hey, I have some connections. Let's expand the conversation. It's not based just to talk about urban blacks or mainstream media or Democrat mayors. We have to talk about the big, obvious emperor's new clothes point. Women should not be going around. That's all I have to say. I mean, that's really it.
That's it. That is it.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine a lot of people get mad.
Yeah, there's lots of boomers that are mad in chat. This is just mind-boggling to them. That
because it's prickling. Like... Imagine the prickle to their conscience. They know they don't have a solution. Okay, send my daughter. My daughters are in school in Echo Park, Washington, D.C., and I don't know. I have two daughters. They're at USC and Catholic University of America. And you know they're just exposed to all of these risks. You know they're going around. USC is like a campus mixed in with Echo Park, like downtown LA. There's no real safe parts of Washington, D.C. So you can either have your conscience needled, or you could just be a person that's like, I'm going to break through. This is a good point. You know, this is silly. Why am I taking these risks to send my daughters to get an education so they can get jobs like men anyway? But I mean, if you really want them to be educated, just commuter school. But the only thing they have to say is, you know, in anger, because it's a knee-jerk, responsive, allergenic kind of reaction. Because there's no good response. You know, there is nothing separating your daughters, if they're in this kind of situation that Iryna Zarutska sadly was, from the big dreadlocked animal who killed Iryna Zarutska, from you know, thousands more that populate our inner cities. So I'm not avoiding saying it. I've been fired for saying things like this quite colorfully. No pun intended.
I think the first person nationally in America that got fired for saying, you literally said BLM is a terrorist organization right when they started, and you got fired for that. Yeah, like we got ran out of California
in late May 2020. So this is what it looks like. This is what it sounds like to just always be ahead of the curve. Now you're just seeing, okay, yeah, this guy's not afraid of saying the obvious race point that I just started allowing myself to say, you know, a couple months ago. He's been saying this, he's been living this forever. Now I've just wallowed in it. I've sat with it. And here's the solution. If you want your wives and daughters truly safe, keep them at home. And guess what? That's the Christian way anyway. All right. God bless you guys. Obvious. I wish safety, peace, and happiness to all of the young women out there. And I hope that Iryna RIPs, and, you know, pray for her soul and all that sincerely. But those of us who have not yet had such a horrible thing befall a young woman or an old woman in our life, we can make a difference at this point. Go make a difference. Des Volt.